setting proper motivation with 3 points: refuge field, visualize Buddha Shakyamuni, His Holiness the Dalai Lama, and all the Buddhas and Bodhisattvas in front of you, and how you visualize them. They are like the parents, and you are the child. You come home demoralized, being bullied by elder children in the school, and your parents are waiting there to give you full love, affection, attention, and embrace. And Buddha to the field, your 2 grandparents on your 2 sides, and all of your family members around you, and all the other sentient beings around you, leaving them aside. And here you are the mother, and all others are like your children. And imagine that they come home demoralized and sad, and you are there to give full love, affection, attention, so forth, to the extent that each one of them feels themselves as so special in your eyes. And the purpose of this class is to discover our final potential, the final nature, the true nature of mind, which is so pure, which is a solid diamond-like, which is the treasure of the ultimate happiness. And yet, it remains hidden for the reason that there are mental defilements, like the gold when mixed with the soil in ore, gold is not seen. Likewise, the incredibly powerful, and the pure, the Buddha nature that exists within each one of us is obscured by the mental defilements. The fact that we behave as very ordinary, the fact that we are so easily maneuvered, easily provoked by external factors. So look at our family. So how we easily becoming irritated, agitated for small reasons. There's a clear indication that the mental defilements are there, which obscures the incredibly beautiful storehouse of happiness. If become manifest, then no external factors can stir the peace of mind, the happiness, let alone the small things happening in the family and to your workplace and so forth. So these mental defilements are to be cleansed, and these mental defilements are of 2 kinds: the gross one and the subtle one. The gross one, the presence of which obscures us from becoming freed of the fears of samsara, and the subtle one obscuring us from achieving total omniscience. So the gross one is known as afflictive obscurations, and the subtle one is known as the cognitive obscurations. The gross ones are consisting of the contaminant karmas, such as the 10 non-vicious actions, 3 physical, 4 verbal, and 3 mental. And see on a daily basis, see in as much as possible, see if how weak we are, how vulnerable we are. We easily give in to the 10 non-vicious actions. There are 3 physical, 4 verbal, and 3 mental. And just in our life, see if we can enumerate these 10 one by one, and see how weak we are and how the need for us to come out of these vulnerabilities. Then the contaminated karmas are triggered by the afflictions, mental emotions. These mental emotions responsible for triggering these karmas is known as afflictions. And afflictions are defined as the mental state, the presence of which disturbs the mind. Or in other words, the mental factor, to be very precise, is a mental factor, the presence of which disturbs the mind. So by the very definition, we see that afflictive emotions, they are what stirs, they are what disturbs our mind, and it steals our peace of mind. And the third one constitute the imprints, active seeds of the contaminant karmas and afflictions. And all these three are rooted to the self-grasping ignorance. Keep in mind that self-grasping ignorance is one of the afflictions. It is not more than the afflictions. It is not something separate from the afflictions. It's the chief of the afflictions. It is for this reason that we enumerate that or we try to reflect on it separately from the other afflictions. Otherwise, don't think that the self-grasping ignorance is the root of all the afflictions, contaminant karmas, and is something different from the afflictions. This is not true. It's the root of all the other afflictions. This is keyword, other afflictions, which means it is also affliction. So now, how to get rid of that is by introducing the counterforce, and knowing that the counterforce for the ignorance, self-grasping ignorance, is the wisdom of emptiness. So therefore, we see that if one is to really follow dharma, not just superficially, whether you follow Theravada Buddhism, whether you follow Mahayana Buddhism, and particularly, and also the Tibetan Buddhism, Chinese Buddhism, Vietnamese Buddhism, Burmese Buddhism, Sri Lankan Buddhism, Taiwanese, Chinese, it doesn't matter. So as long as you are following Buddhism, and if you really want to follow a genuine Buddhism meaning a genuine teaching of the Buddha, be it Mahayana, Theravada, whatever, it doesn't matter. It must be grounded on the wisdom of emptiness. It should be somehow connected with the wisdom of emptiness. So finally, the purpose of the Dharma practice, keeping aside the Mahayana part for the time being, is to liberate us from what we dislike, liberate us from the fears of life. So the fears of life, they are all somehow grounded on the self-grasping ignorance, and to be liberated, to be freed from that, it is only through resorting to the wisdom of emptiness. So therefore, somehow, whatever tradition that you may be following, if you have to really follow the teaching of Buddha, finally it must be the wisdom of emptiness. So any teaching on the wisdom of emptiness is so precious, so precious, so precious. This is only hope. Say if you are drowning in an ocean, and if there is just one strain of grass, one blade of grass there, then even that you will see as a hope. You will see as a hope, you try to grab at it to survive yourself, to save yourself. And more than that, it is actually like a boat there, it's actually like a ship there, that the wisdom of emptiness, this is actually a very reliable source of refuge for us. So this is what we need to keep in mind, any teaching on the wisdom of emptiness. We are so fortunate today that we have His Holiness the Dalai Lama, who is the final authority on the Buddhism, and particularly Tibetan Buddhism, Mahayana Buddhism, and we are lucky that His Holiness is the one with such authority, emphasizing so much on the wisdom of emptiness. Had it been the case that someone with authority does not emphasize so much on the wisdom of emptiness, bodhicitta instead emphasizes on the wisdom, say other things like vision and so forth, then it could be very risky. So fortunately, we are very lucky that we have His Holiness the Dalai Lama, who emphasizes so much on this, the pith instruction of the wisdom of emptiness. So likewise, having had the opportunity to be a part of this Narendra Master's course, finally our job is to see one area where we have to focus, put effort, is to understand the wisdom of emptiness. One. Then number two is the cognitive obscuration. Cognitive obscuration is the subtle inactive seeds, inactive imprints of the contaminant karmas and afflictions, and the presence of which obstructs us from achieving total Buddhahood. So to remove that, to eradicate that, the wisdom which is to be employed is the same, the wisdom of emptiness, but what is the difference? The difference lies in the motivation, the driving force. On top of the renunciation, we need to employ the bodhicitta. We need to add the bodhicitta as the driving force, and then apply the wisdom of emptiness, so that the wisdom of emptiness becomes much more powerful on the basis of the bodhicitta. So with this in mind, keep in mind that you are leading this group, you are leading this group, including your two parents, whether your parents are alive or not with us, but just there's no harm in bringing them with you, and all sentient beings, with you, and you are leading this. With that in mind, let's turn to page 2 of the prayer book. Enthused by great compassion, you taught the Immaculate Dharma to dispel all perverted views. To you, the Buddha Gautama, I pay homage. Enthused by great compassion, you taught the Immaculate Dharma to dispel all perverted views. To you, the Buddha Gautama, I pay homage. Enthused by great compassion, you taught the Immaculate Dharma to dispel all perverted views. To you, the Buddha Gautama, I pay homage. Independent origination, there is no ceasing, no arising, no annihilation, no permanence, no coming, no going, no separateness, and no sameness. I prostrate to the consummate Buddha, the supreme among all teachers, the one who taught this peace which is freed of elaborations. I prostrate to the mothers of the Buddhas and of the hearers and Bodhisattvas, who through the knowledge of all these hearers seeking pacification to complete peace, who through the knowledge of past courses those have been migrated to achieve the aims of the world, and through the possession of omniscience, the subduer set forth the varieties in all aspects. The one who has transformed into the reliable guide, motivated by altruism to benefit sentient beings. The teacher, Sugata and protector to your administrations. The one who has eliminated the web of conceptualizations and is endowed with the divine bodies of the vast and the profound. Eternally shines forth forever noble life rays. To you, the Buddha, I make prostrations. Okay, page 7. I go for refuge until I'm enlightened to the Buddha, the Dharma, the Sangha. By my accumulations of the practice of giving and so forth, may I become a Buddha to benefit all sentient beings. I go for refuge until I'm enlightened to the Buddha, the Dharma, the Sangha. By my accumulations of the practice of giving and so forth, may I become a Buddha to benefit all sentient beings. I go for refuge until I'm enlightened to the Buddha, the Dharma, the Sangha. By my accumulations of the practice of giving and so forth, may I become a Buddha to benefit all sentient beings. Sanya Joda Soge Chonam La Chanjo Bardo Dane Gyapso Chen Lage Jinso Yebe Sonam Ye Dola Penjire Sanye Dubare Sho Sanya Joda Soge Chonam Chanjo Bardo Dane Gyapso Chen Lage Jinso Yebe Sonam Ye Dola Penjire Sanye Dubare Sho Sangye Choda Tsoge Chonam Yanju Bardo Dane Gyapso Che Dage Jinso Gebe Sonam Gi Dola Penjire Sangye Dubarayjo. All phenomena arise from causes. The causes are taught by the Tathagata, the cessational causes as well as taught by the grace here. Om Ye Dharma Hetu Prabhava Gato Yavatat Desham Chayo Nirodha Eva Bhati Mahashramanaye Swaha Om Ye Dharma Hetu Prabhavam Hetum Desham Tathagato Yavatat Desham Chayo Nirodham Eva Mati Mahashramanaye Swaha Om Ye Dharma Hetu Prabhavam Hetum Desham Tathagato Yavatat Desham Chayo Nirodham Eva Mati Mahashramanaye Swaha. Okay, page 10. As we read the praise to Shakyamuni Buddha, and of course any reading that we do, see that what are the qualities mentioned there. See to the qualities mentioned there, and then see if you have the part of these qualities within yourself. If you have, rejoice and see how much you can nurture them further. And should you see that these qualities is not within you, it doesn't matter. Knowing that, so now this text serves as a mirror for you to see that what has gone wrong with you, what is mentioned there in the mirror in this text, the qualities, and if you're not there, see how we can acquire them freshly and then nurture them further. So this is the purpose of reading these texts. And then meanwhile, see how much we can gather, how much we can invigorate our faith, our respect, admiration in this greatly compassionate teacher Buddha Shakyamuni, not just as someone who's respected for some reasons, as again the prince or whatever. Instead, for his qualities of perfect knowledge, perfect love, and perfect power. Okay, so whenever we see the pictures of the Buddha Shakyamuni, statue of Buddha Shakyamuni, see if you can see that picture, the statue, in the light of these three qualities. Then you will feel something different, and you will feel connected. And in the process, when you feel admiration, already you are falling through this path, that is happening. Whereas you just see a statue, and just as a ritual you bow down, of course there's a benefit, but then the real transformation should be taken mentally. So that should that should happen through an active state of the mind, which is admiration in the qualities of love, knowledge, and the power. Okay, page 10. To the founder, the endowed transcendent destroyer, the one gone beyond, the full destroyer, the completely perfected, full awakened being, and good conduct, the Sugadra, knower of the world, supreme guide of human beings to be tamed, teacher of gods and human beings, to you, the completely and fully awakened one, the endowed transcendent destroyer, the glorious conqueror, the subduer from the Shakya clan, I prostrate my offerings and go for refuge. When, O Supreme amongst humans, you were born on this earth, you paid our 7 strides, then said, I am supreme in this world. To you who are wise then, with pure bodies formed supremely pure, wisdom ocean like a golden mountain, fame that blazes in the 3 worlds, winner of the best, Lord, to you I prostrate. With the supreme science face like a spotless moon, color like gold, to you I prostrate. Dressed like you, the 3 worlds are not, incomparable wise one, to you I prostrate. The Savior having great compassion, the Founder having all understanding, the field of merit with qualities like a vast ocean, to you the one gone to thusness I prostrate. The purity that frees one from attachment, the virtue that frees one from the lowest realm, the one path, the sublime pure reality, to the Dharma that pacifies I prostrate. Those who are devoted to the moral precepts, to you the sublime community intending virtue I prostrate. Do not commit any non-virtuous actions, perform only perfect virtuous actions, subdue mind thoroughly, this is the teaching of the Buddha. A star, a visual aberration, a flame of lamp, an illusion, a drop of dew or a bubble, a dream, a flash of lightning, a cloud, see conditioned things as such. Through this marriage may sentient beings attain the rank of all seeing, subdue the 4 falls, and be delivered from samsara's oceans, perturbed by the waves of aging, sickness, and death. Okay, page 17, Harsuta Mantra. And as always, when we recite the mantra, keep in mind or put in visualization, the Buddha Shakyamuni, our very compassionate teacher Buddha Shakyamuni, so affectionately, so compassionately exhort us, don't remain in the fears of samsara. Come to us ultimate happiness, come. And you hearing this melodious voice of Buddha Shakyamuni, you then inspire your parents and all your family members, including your children, everyone, all sentient beings, leaving that aside, taking them and telling them that, look, this is what a compassionate teacher Buddha Shakyamuni is exhorting us. Let us not fear, let us not remain at peace samsara anymore. Let us not cry, let us not have the tears. Let us all go towards ultimate happiness. Let us not remain in fear. Let us take this journey. Kate, parakate, parasampate, bodhiswa, by shedding aside, by discarding the self-grasping, the self-centered attitude, the 2 demons from our mind, and then eventually get to the final state of happiness. And then everyone so happily hearing this voice, hearing this, and the very affectionate advice and instruction from you, they are so happy to join you, and imagine that you and everyone is happily undertaking this journey. So should you have any complication with your parents, it doesn't matter. So here we are learning how to be like the mother yourself and all others to be seen as your children, like even your mother, your father. with whom you might have a little bit of complications. If you don't have, well and good. If yes, then we have to transcend. What we're doing here is to transcend the ordinary people's thinking, to have conflict with your parents, to have conflict with your neighbors, to have conflict with other people. This is all nothing but the tendencies of the ordinary people. So what we're doing here, because of the involvement with Narayana Master's course, is to transcend these thinking, these ordinary people's childish thinking, and the ordinary people's thinking. So with that in mind, make sure that you leave none aside. Keep everyone in your mind and take them along this, along with you towards this ultimate happiness. Om Gati Gati Page 19, 8 verse mind training. Again, 8 verse mind training here. The purpose is, so the Heart Sutra is main. Of course, I would very much encourage each one of us to recite Heart Sutra once every day. So that is to implant in us the seed of the wisdom. So what we need is the wisdom of emptiness, and the bodhicitta, the unconditional love bodhicitta, the two things. So, and of course all others should be ways and means to invigorate, to reinforce these two practices, the bodhicitta and wisdom and emptiness. So meanwhile, the two things, for example, Heart Sutra, actually because of the Buddha Shakyamuni presiding over the congregation and the dialogue happening between Aravalokiteshvara and Shariputra, blessed and inspired and by the Buddha Shakyamuni, so that becomes very blessed, the text for us to recite, on the basis of which we can practice both the wisdom of emptiness one. And the 8 verse mind training, this is very short, at the same time this is so concise in the presentation of the unconditional love for others, while the discarding the final enemy, which potentially stands to impede the nurturing of bodhicitta. So the self-centered attitude. So this self-centered attitude and grounded self-centered attitude is the anger. So anger, hostility, and so forth. So see how we can overcome anger and so forth. So with this, the 8 verse mind training is primarily to invigorate the bodhicitta, unconditional love for others. So with these two things intact, we see that finally, whether you believe in religion or not, whether one believes in Buddhism, Christianity, religion, science, whatever, it doesn't matter. Everybody shares the two things in common. One is that nobody wants the fear everybody seeks fearlessness. Number two, with joy, everybody wants a maximum joy. The two things, wants fearlessness and wants a maximum joy. This is something universal. So to be very unbiased and to be very objective in approach, we see that the greatest of the fearlessness, if we really want the greatest of the fearlessness is given to us by the wisdom of emptiness, no doubt. And of course, we don't have to believe in it. We have to understand it. We have to learn it, rationally understand it. Then you will get a confidence. Once you get a glimpse of the wisdom of emptiness, you will be very confident that, so with this wisdom of emptiness, I can become totally fearless. So the fearlessness is granted by this wisdom of emptiness. Oftentimes, we fear over what will happen to me when I'm a little older. What will happen to me, say, with my job, or with my family, with me, with this, with that, and so forth. So there's so much of fear. We are simply surrounded by the whole ambience of fear. So how we can get rid of this fear is found through the wisdom of emptiness. Otherwise, whatever measure that you may resort to overcome the fear is just temporary. It's just temporary relief, and again the fear befalls on us. So to be very meaningful and to gain a deep conviction, and if you really seek a permanent solution to all the fears of life, it is the wisdom of emptiness. So therefore, this is a precious one. Number two, the second factor which people universally accept, the want or cherish, is the joy. And the maximum joy we see that we can acquire through unconditional love. So this 8 verse mind training, this is primarily to give us to provide us, to teach us how to practice unconditional love, and the main enemy to cultivating this unconditional love is the anger and the self-referential ego. So this text, 8 verse mind training, it is primarily to subdue, to teach us how to crush our self-centered attitude, self-referential ego, and the anger. So with this, when the anger and the self-referential ego, when they subside, it leaves room for our compassion grow within us. And then meanwhile, because of the wisdom of emptiness, you become fearless. People cannot take advantage of your compassion because of the wisdom of emptiness. And at the same time, with the compassion, we see that the joy simply exudes in us. Okay. So with this, we'll read the 8 verse mind training, and then again, the thing is, how there are 7 billion human beings on this earth, and how many of them really practice this? It's so less. So we are just handful of people who get the opportunity to recite this and practice this, and see how much we can make the most of this, and meanwhile, let all other sentient beings have to share of this practice by including them in the visualization while you're reciting this. Okay. With the determination to achieve the highest aim, for the benefit of all sentient beings, which surpasses even the most fulfilling gem, may hold them dear at all times. Whenever I interact with someone, may I view myself as the lowest among soul, and from the very depths of my heart respectfully hold others as superior. And all my deeds may I probe into my mind, and as soon as mental and emotional afflictions arise, as they endanger myself and others, may I strongly confront them and avert them. When I see beings of unpleasant character, oppressed by strong negativity and suffering, may I hold them dear, for they are rare to find, as if I had discovered a jewel treasure. When others out of jealousy treat me wrongly with abuse, slander, and scorn, may I take upon myself the defeat and offer to others the victory. When someone whom I have helped or in whom I have placed great hopes mistreats me in extremely hurtful ways, may regard me still as my precious teacher. In brief, may I offer benefit and joy to all my mothers, both directly and indirectly. May I quietly take upon myself all hurts and pains of my mothers. May all this remain undefiled by the stains of the 8 mundane concerns, and may I recognize in all things as illusions, the devoted clinging be released from bondage. From my true collections, vast the space that I have amassed from working with effort at this practice for a great length of time, may I become the chief leading Buddha for all those whose minds are customized blind of ignorance. Okay, I think maybe 2 minutes or 5 minutes meditation. Okay. a good gong in your with the timer. Is it a bell?
Yeah, there's a bell, Kishla.
Ah.
There's a bell.
Okay, good. Started?
Yeah.
Okay, good. Okay, so for the meditation, now since this is the more a very stable class, I'm not going to give any instructions anymore, but I'd like to remind you of the two things, which is the point number 3, identifying the errors of meditation, point number 4, applying the remedies to overcome the errors. Okay, these two things, be very watchful. Oftentimes I meet with people who say that I've been meditating for the last 3 years, 4 years, so forth, but the meditation does not really improve, and scattering always happens. So there's a clear indication that we are not careful of the point number 3 and point number 4. So this is so important, and should you meet with other people who have such complications, you must check with point number 3 and 4. Identify the errors of meditation, number 3. Number 4, applying the remedies to overcome the errors. Okay, and the errors, 2, mental laxity and mental the scattering or excitement. I'm not going to go into detail. The remedies to overcome the 2 errors, introspection and mindfulness. I'm not going to go into detail, but keep this in mind. This is so important, so important. And later on, I would surely expect from this class, whether the regular attendees or the online attendees, I would very much expect from you that eventually the practice of observing the mind, practice of the awareness, meditation, and so there, the introspection and mindfulness should be even more intense and more rigorous. So therefore, if we don't have this training right from the other meditations, like breathing meditation, visualization meditation, then to apply the same thing to the meditation of the awareness, and seeing the emptiness of the awareness, then it is far, far away from our, say, the reality. So therefore, right from the beginning, make sure that you don't fall prey to the 2 errors. And should they happen, don't panic, just apply the remedies at the right time. Okay, so with this, 5 minutes ready. And whatever meditation that you may be doing, just feel free to do that. 5 minutes. Thank you. Okay. Last time, the last Thursday, we were doing the 8 doors supervision to understand the distinction between, or not really distinction, understand the meaning of the definition, to distinguish between the definition, the meaning, and the etymology. So this was what we did last time. And okay, so why that this topic, 8 doors of provision, to understand what the definition is? That is very important, because what the studies that we are doing here is very specialized and intended for 4 years, and for those who are who want to continue more, then another 2 years, total 6, which means that it's going to be very specialized, because of which things should be done very precisely. So for that matter, more than the meaning of the words, more than the meaning of the concept, we need to have a very precise, we need to know things very precisely. For that, the definition plays a very important role. As such, last time we were doing, we were not talking about the definition of definition, but we were talking about what should be the characteristic, what should be the major characteristic of a definition. So definition then is something which qualifies definition, and what is defined is known as definiendum. So the definition and definiendum, they should qualify what is known as the 8 doors of pervasion. So this was what we did last time. Okay, from those of us here, how many of you were absent last time? Last Sunday, Thursday. Okay, who are going to miss the next Thursday? Okay, so this is so what I would say is that those who missed the last Thursday, I would suggest you to, of course we have to listen to the recordings, otherwise you have to sit for exams and the assignment, right? Okay, you have to go through this. So I will not spend more time on this, although there is one thing to be a second to follow up from what we did last time. You remember the exercise which I mentioned as homework? What was that? You remember? Gajal? You remember? Huh?
Yes.
What is that?
You defined Dhue-dra as any man aspiring to become a good man. That's it. And then you asked if this fits in, is there an example of a mind? Does this fit this definition? The 8 doors of provision.
Okay. So what we did was that so those of you who were missing last time, or you may have already listened to the recordings, I'm not too sure, but you sure have to listen to the recordings. Otherwise, out of the 7 billion human beings and the 20 or 30 people here, if you are not, you don't catch up with the lessons here, then where should we look for the 7 billion human beings to know all these things very precisely about what constitutes definition? So what are the 8 verses or 8 doors of pervasion for definition and so forth, right? Okay, so what I would surely expect from this group, of course from the online students as well, but surely I would expect from the people who take part in the Nalanda Master's course. Okay, so basically to make it very quick, and because that if I don't do it now, if I leave it next time, it's going to be again a lapse of time, because of which the rigor will disappear, the momentum will disappear. So we're talking about 8 doors of pervasion, meaning that say we're talking about the definition, the meaning, and the etymology, the difference amongst these 3 points. Etymology, when you speak about etymology, it may not have anything to do with the word and the etymology given. Say for example, the lotus in Sanskrit, one of the synonyms of the lotus is the one grown in ocean, or one grown in sea, the one grown in sea. So one grown in sea, should you come across any word or any, say, label, the one grown in ocean, immediately you have to understand this to mean lotus. But if you ask me, what is the etymology of this? Etymology of the lotus, etymology of the one grown in the ocean means anything which grows, something which grows in the ocean. So something which grows in the ocean may not necessarily be lotus. So the etymology is not as rigid to understand the meaning of the word. Etymology is just to give you one way of looking at it, how this word came into being, the one grown in ocean. Okay. And so the etymology is just to give you a very vague idea of the meaning of the word, very vague. And the next comes to meaning. Meaning is something more solid, but within the meaning there could be exceptions. When you give a meaning of one particular word, and when something which comes as a unique case, then you can say it doesn't matter, even though that's a meaning, but there could be exceptions, which may not qualify the meaning, but qualify the what is meant. Now number 3 is the definition. Etymology, meaning, and the definition. Definition is always very precise, no exception at all. Don't forget it. Don't forget it. Say if it is just public discourse, like 5-day teaching, 10-day teaching, so forth, nobody will focus on the definition. Because to focus on definition means we should be sitting together for so long and going into one topic in great detail. So for 10 days, there's no time at all to go into detail. So the definition not at all emphasized. What is emphasized is more the meanings. Whereas when you go to detailed studies, then the etymology, meaning, definition all must be studied. And particularly, emphasis must be on the definition. With the definition, as I said earlier, to say that something is the definition of the particular what is to be defined, these two must qualify what is known as the 8 doors of pervasion. Right? What are the 8 doors of pervasion? Okay, 4 sets. The set of is, set of is not, set of existent, set of non-existent. Right? So 2 with is, 2 with is not, 2 with existent, 2 with non-existent. Total 8. Right? Okay. So what is? Let's say, for example, the example which we gave last time was, say, the pot or the vase. Vase, how we define that is a bulbous object with a flat base, with having the capacity to hold water. A bulbous object with a flat base, having the capacity to hold water. That is the definition. And the definition is the vase. So to see that this definition is the definition of the vase, we need to see if the 8 doors of pervasion are fulfilled. So the first 2, what are the first 2? Is. What are the 2 is? Whatever is the vase should be the definition, which is a bulbous object with a flat base, having the capacity to hold water. 1. Number 2, now the reverse. The reverse is, whatever is a bulbous object with a flat base, having the capacity to hold water, is vase. Okay, if these two are fulfilled, then the first set of the 2 is fulfilled. The next is not. Whatever is not vase should not be a bulbous object with a flat base having the capacity to hold water. Whatever is not a bulbous object with a flat base having the capacity to hold water is not vase. Okay, this fulfills the set of the 2 is not. Then what is the present? Existent. Wherever the vase exists, the bulbous object with a flat base having the capacity to hold water should be existent. Where the bulbous object with a flat base having the capacity to hold water exists, the vast should be existent. So likewise the non-existent. So this is known as the 8 doors of pervasion. So this we did last time, right? Now with this, say if this is a gathering, for just like in what we Tibetans we call it as an intensive course. If this is just an intensive course, a public teaching or a public the event, intensive course for like 5 days on Heart Sutra, whatever. So people can come from any background, whether they already do, whether they enrolled in another master's course or not, it doesn't matter, anybody can take part in it. There, we will never go through the definitions. We'll only go through the meanings at the most. We'll not go through definitions, right? Okay. Now, for such an audience, when if somebody asks me, okay, I speak about bodhicitta, then you may ask me, what is bodhicitta? Then I may say bodhicitta is a mind which aspires to become Buddha for the benefit of sentient beings. So that's good enough. Whereas for none of the master's course, it is not enough. We should make sure that we have defined it. It's not just the meaning. Just to understand the meaning does not suffice. We have to understand the definition. So now we are checking bodhicitta on the one hand as the definiendum, and what I propose as a definition is a mind which aspires to become Buddha for the benefit of all sentient beings, right? Okay, this is what I propose as a definition. Now you have already learned, having already learned the 8 doors of pervasion as a qualification for a proper definition. Now tell me whether what I propose as a definition of bodhicitta is actually the definition of bodhicitta. And do you agree with me? A mind which aspires to become Buddha for the benefit of all sentient beings. Is that the definition of a bodhicitta? This is my question to you. Yes, no? Okay, most of you may say that we have not yet studied bodhicittas yet. Right? Because it is not under thus far not covered. Okay, those of you who are already into the Tibet House class for the last few years, so you tell me, or anyone who has already learned about it in your own classes or in your own studies elsewhere, you tell me from what we reading, having attended classes, tell me whether this is a definition, a mind which aspires to become Buddha for the benefit of all sentient beings. Is that the definition of bodhicitta? This is my question to you. Yes? No? Okay. Raise your hands those who said yes. Those who agree with me, yes. Okay, not just half full. Okay. Those who say no is not the definition, raise your hands. Okay. Now, okay. So those who said it is definition, for you is easy. I cannot ask you any question. Because the 8 doors of pervasion, you say that all 8 doors are fulfilled. Those who said it is not definition, you have to justify your answer. Which of the 8 doors of pervasion is not fulfilled? This is my question. Okay, anyone who said that this is not the definition of bodhicitta? Anyone? Which of the 8 doors is not fulfilled? Okay, let us explore. Okay, let us explore. First of all, let me tell you, how many of you, within any day, who's the youngest? Maybe 18, how many years? 22, let's say, anyone who's younger than 22? Okay, the last 22 years, just say, how many of you have spent minimum 1 day, 1 hour, 20 minutes, 10 minutes, or 2 minutes to think that, may I become Buddha for the benefit of all sentient beings? How many of you did it in your life? At least once in your life. How many of you did it? Raise your hands. Full hands. Up. Very good. Okay. Which means that in your life, you had the experience of, may I become Buddha for the benefit of all dear mother sentient beings. Yes, you agree with me? Good. So that mind, That mind which said, may I become Buddha for the benefit of all my dear sentient beings. So this mind, is that the mind? Is that a mind which aspires to become a Buddha for the benefit of all sentient beings? Yes, no. Raise your hands who said yes. Very good. Okay. If this is a mind which aspires to become Buddha for the benefit of all sentient beings, so this mind is the definition of the bodhicitta as I proposed. Yes? Right? No, the definition that I proposed, that I said it. I would define it as a mind which aspires to become Buddha for the benefit of all sentient beings. Then you are saying no. No, whether you agree with me or not, that's a different question. Did I say this? This is my question. Yes, please don't reject it. That I said it. I said it. Now, this mind, the definition which I propose, a mind which aspires to become Buddha for the benefit of sentient beings, each one of us once generated that mind. Yes, no? Okay. Each one of us in our life, did you have a bodhicitta? How many of you have the bodhicitta, experience of bodhicitta? Actual bodhicitta within you. How many of you have the bodhicitta within you? No. But you have this mind, right? Once you had that experience. Once you had this mind, may I become Buddha for the benefit of all sentient beings. We all had this experience. We all had generated this mind once. At least once in our life. But that is not bodhicitta. Okay, now tell me, why that is not a bodhicitta? Anyone? Exactly, because that is not spontaneous. Okay, anyone? How the mind which we generated, may I become Buddha for the benefit of all sentient beings. Why? How that is not spontaneous? What do you mean by spontaneity of that mind? What do you mean by spontaneity of this mind? What do you mean by this mind being spontaneous? What do you mean by that? Anyone? That this mind should arise effortlessly. So in our case, when we, or some of you may be generating this mind every day. Some of you may be generating, they say at least like more often, or maybe even be it once in your lifetime. If that is good. So this mind, is this a spontaneous? Does it have the quality of spontaneity? Quality of spontaneity of aspiring to achieve Buddha for the benefit of sentient beings? Does it have? No. No. How not? How can we say that it is not a spontaneous mind? How? Quick.
We generate it. We have to generate it.
We have to effort.
Yeah.
We have to put effort. So we have to generate it with effort. With effort means it's not coming spontaneously. Spontaneous has the connotation of being naturally occurring. Being naturally occurring. Right? So it's not naturally occurring, it requires effort. Okay. From this we come to know that bodhicitta should be a spontaneous mind. Should be a spontaneous mind, not just a mind, but a spontaneous mind. Within the mind there are two kinds, a spontaneous mind and a mind with effort. There are two. Right? A spontaneous mind which aspires, or a mind which spontaneously aspires to become Buddha for the benefit of sentient beings. So the kind of the mind which we have been generating, they are what? They are not spontaneous, they are with effort. With effort. So therefore, this is not bodhicitta. You getting it? Okay, now from this, once you know this, it becomes very easy. Now let me start from the scratch. If you ask me what is the definition of bodhicitta, then I'll give you my definition, and then you decide whether you agree with me or not. Okay, tell me. Ask me the question. Very good. So, the definition of bodhicitta is a mind which aspires to become Buddha for the benefit of all sentient beings. You agree with me or not?
No.
Yes, no? I'm not asking you whether I said it or not. I said it. This is not my question. My question is, the definition which I proposed, is this something you agree as the definition of bodhicitta, or you don't agree? Okay, some of you did agree, some of you do not agree. Those of you who do not agree, tell me what is wrong, which of the 8 doors of perversion is not fulfilled. 2 is, what the 2 is? whatever is, let us do one by one. Let us see one by one. Initially it will take a little time. We have to go through each of them one by one. Then later on it becomes very fast. It's very easy. Okay, tell me. The set of the two is. What is it? First set of the two is. Set of the two is. Okay, let's see. What are the two is? Whatever is bodhicitta should be a mind which aspires to become Buddha for the benefit of all sentient beings. You agree with this or not? But the first is fulfilled. What's the second is? Whatever is the mind which aspires to become Buddha for the benefit of all sentient beings should be a bodhicitta. Is it fulfilled or not? It's not fulfilled. Why? When you say it is not fulfilled, you should be able to give an illustration. You should be able to give an illustration which fulfills the first, which does not fulfill the second. Which means you should give an example, illustration or an example, which is a mind which aspires to become Buddha for the benefit of sentient beings, but which is not bodhicitta. You have to give an example. What example do you have? Non-spontaneous mind. Did you say spontaneous, non-spontaneous?
There should be spontaneous mind.
No. But did you follow the question? So this is where the Narendra Master's course becomes very relevant to us, very helpful. So it gives us a clarity in our thinking, right? It's not just a vague understanding. What I'm saying is that what fulfills the second, what is the second? The definition should fulfill the definiendum. So what is the definition which I proposed? A mind which aspires to become Buddha for the benefit of all sentient beings should be bodhicitta. This is what I said, and you said no, it's not true. So what example do you have? What example do you have to say? What example? Can you give an example? Which is a mind which aspires to become Buddha for the benefit of all sentient beings, but which is not bodhicitta. Can you give an example? A non-spontaneous mind. A non-spontaneous mind which aspires to become Buddha for the benefit of all sentient beings, right? Okay. Can you give an example of a non-spontaneous mind which aspires to become Buddha for the benefit of all sentient beings? No. Ordinary people, non-bodhisattvas, let's say, non-bodhisattvas who generate this mind, a mind which aspires to become Buddha for the benefit of all sentient beings, which a non-bodhisattva generates. You getting it? When the bodhisattvas generate that is bodhicitta. When the non-bodhisattvas generates that, like us, when the ordinary beings, non-bodhisattvas, when they generate this mind, that mind is not spontaneous. Because any moment the mind becomes spontaneous, it becomes a bodhicitta. The moment it becomes a bodhicitta, you are already a bodhisattva. Right? You generate bodhicitta, the first moment of you generate bodhicitta and you become a bodhisattva, these two are simultaneous. Getting it? So a non-bodhisattva is a non-bodhisattva's mind which aspires to become Buddha for the benefit of all sentient beings, that qualifies the definition which I proposed, but it is not a bodhicitta. You getting it? Very good. Okay, this is how we do it. Okay, next. Two is, the second is not fulfilled. Now the two is not. Two is not, is it fulfilled or not? Two is not. What is two is not? What is not bodhicitta should not be a mind. No. What is not bodhicitta should not be a mind which aspires to become Buddha for the benefit of all sentient beings. Do you agree with me or not? Huh? A mind which is not bodhicitta should never be a mind which aspires to become Buddha for the benefit of all sentient beings. Can you give an example? Can you give an example of a mind which is not bodhicitta but which is not bodhicitta but which is the mind which aspires to become Buddha for the benefit of sentient beings? Can you give an example? Yes, over there. Non-spontaneous mind which aspires to become Buddha for the benefit of all sentient beings. Very good, thank you. Okay, so this, how much time we are spending now? right? So this amount of the time later on, if you're consistent with the classes, or at least attending attending to the recordings, then this much of time we don't have to spend. You getting it? So the moment I say that this definition, we say no, because it does not qualify this, finish, 2 minutes, finish, then we move to the next point. You getting it? Okay, so this is like the period of the cultivation. We're cultivating. Yes, over there, Sudipji?
Yes, sir, I have a question.
Yes.
So, if you generate bodhicitta, and bodhisattva generates bodhicitta, and that's only bodhicitta at the moment when it becomes bodhicitta.
The mic.
Oh, sorry. So, if bodhisattva...
Closer.
If bodhisattva generates bodhicitta only, no one else can.
Say it again. Bodhisattvas generate bodhicitta.
Yes.
Yes.
Because if you have a bodhisattva, then only you can have a bodhicitta mind. So that means anybody else cannot approximate bodhicitta?
Okay, this is a good question. Okay, this is very good. So these will all go into the debate. The question is, only the bodhisattvas can generate bodhicitta, but keep in mind that keep in mind that even the Buddhas have bodhicitta. Don't forget it. Although this is a great the area of debate. Okay, for the time, the standard version has it that who have bodhicitta? The Buddhas and the Bodhisattvas. Don't forget it. Buddhas and Bodhisattvas. This is a very standard position. The Buddhas and Bodhisattvas have bodhicitta, right? And of course, don't debate at the moment. Bodhicitta is what? How do you define it? A spontaneous mind aspiring to become Buddha for the benefit of sentient beings. The question arises, does the Buddha have bodhicitta? This is the question. Does the Buddha aspire to become Buddha? No. They already became Buddha. They are already Buddha themselves. So where's aspiration? So this is the debate. But the standard answer is that even the Buddhas have bodhicitta. Don't forget it. So now the question is how to defend it. This is a very specialized debate, but not at the moment, right? Not because we don't have the materials to think more about it. Once we study the Abhisamaya Alankara, ornament of clear realization. Once we study that, then all the details of the definition of bodhicitta, the characteristics of bodhicitta, and all the details will be studied at that point. So for the time being, just keep that in mind. What is the standard position? All Buddhas and Bodhisattvas have bodhicitta. Don't forget it, right? For the time being, don't argue with me. Now the question is, if only the Buddhas and Bodhisattvas have the bodhicitta, it doesn't mean that all the non-Bodhisattvas or the non-Buddhas and the Bodhisattvas, they cannot generate bodhicitta. This is the question, right? We can. The best word that we can say is we can cultivate bodhicitta. Right? So, sevenfold cause-effect method. And what's the other one? Yes, something. There's another method also. What is that method known as? Equalizing and exchanging method to cultivate bodhicitta. 2 methods, right? I think we studied that somewhere. Foundation topics? I think so. Okay, so by cultivating, by engaging in the practice of these 2 methods, and okay, I can't stop myself from sharing this with you, and not on you, with everyone, the online as well as the regular student, the participants. What I want to share with you is that don't wait until, for the bodhicitta practice, don't wait until Abhisamaya Alankara starts. Don't wait until that, right? What I would suggest that bodhicitta, to know bodhicitta is very easy. To know how to cultivate bodhicitta is not easy. Don't wait until you become bodhisattva, right? Only when I become bodhisattva, then I'll cultivate bodhicitta. Till then, it's fine, I'm relaxed. Don't think like this. We have to cultivate from now on. And then don't wait until Abhisamaya Alankara starts. right? Abhyastamana, before that we have other texts. So therefore, and our time is not, the every day we are being older, right? So we have to make sure that we practice. And bodhicitta, to learn about bodhicitta is not difficult. It's easy. But to experience bodhicitta will take time, will take enormous time. To experience bodhicitta will take enormous, at times, with your consistent practice, at times you may become so demoralized that nothing's really, nothing's really happening. So such a thing can happen. The things that we need time. So which we can easily, if you are to focus just on bodhicitta, the maximum it will take like 5-6 days. Everything will be covered within 5 to 6 days on bodhicitta. But experience bodhicitta will take like many years. So therefore, we need time. And how much time we have, not too sure. And don't think that some of we are in your 20s or 30s or 40s. Even if we are in our 20s, 30s, 40s, we never know how long is the lifespan that we have. We never know that, right? Okay, so for that, what I'm saying is that personally, why I'm sharing this with you, is that the experience of bodhicitta requires time. Time for what? Cultivation. We have to cultivate it. We have to cultivate it and practice on a daily basis. This is so important, so important. And then, should it be the case that you have, say, like 2 days off, 3 days off, 1 week off, then spend more time on the bodhicitta practice. Just keep doing like this in my own capacity. Although I'm just not really, so intensity there. But one thing I can say with great, so explicitly, is that I really treasure this practice of bodhicitta. And from my very little capacity, from my little attempt of the practice of bodhicitta, I see that since like 1988, from 1988, I started doing this practice. And from my very little experience, I would share with you with great confidence that bodhicitta is something we have to practice over many years. And the progress is so small. What little progress that you get is it is so fulfilling. It is so fulfilling. And this progress, we see that if you go meet with people, you see that this much progress that you experience, that quality that you experience, that you feel, you try to see who has that. It's so rare. Even people who are into Dharma practice for so long, because they are not into practicing this bodhicitta exclusively, into sadhana all the time, reciting, chanting, this quality is really missing there. So this is what I can say with great confidence. So what I'm saying, I'm not boasting anything. I have nothing to really boast. What I'm saying is that we need time to practice bodhicitta. It is only through cultivation that bodhicitta can possibly arise in us. Otherwise, don't expect miracle happening. Even if the whole world of the Buddhas come surround you, and you just beg, please bless me with the bodhicitta, and then you don't put any effort in this, nothing will happen to us. This is 100% guaranteed. Without the bodhicitta, Mahayana path is far away. All practices which we are doing, Sakya, Kagyu, Nyingma, Gelug, Tibetan Buddhism, Chinese Buddhism, Vietnamese Buddhism, Japanese Buddhism, Zen Buddhism, all they are meant to be following Mahayana Buddha practice, Mahayana Buddhism. And for Mahayana Buddhism, the skeleton of the Mahayana Buddhism is bodhicitta. And without the practice of bodhicitta, how can we possibly see it coming? It will never happen. That is 100% guaranteed. From my little experience, and I'm not really someone who is least interested in practice. I'm interested in practice, and to the best I can, I've attempted. And from this many years, since 1988 to now, how many years? No? Almost like 30 years. And still I could see the progress is there, 100% the progress is there. 100% the progress is there. The progress is so small. so small. It's very small progress happening, and yet this very small progress is so fulfilling. This is what I'm saying. It's so fulfilling, and you see that this is the final light of the whole. The light of the whole for your personal joy, and you see that with this, Gade can possibly happen. So this is what I'm saying. So therefore, this question coming from Sudeepji, that whether or not others who are non-bodhisattvas, non-Buddhas, can they generate bodhicitta, this question. So we cultivate it with the help of the two methods. With the two methods, simply reciting the four immeasurables will not help. I'm saying this again. Simply reciting four immeasurables, simply doing the Tonglen practice. Simply doing the Tonglen practice is not the complete story. It will help, but it's not a complete story. This is so important. Keep this in mind. Some people, oftentimes, we are just lost in the illusion of doing, okay, I do bodhicitta practice, I do Mahana practice because I'm doing the four immeasurables. Metta practice. Metta practice is very precious. This is the stepping stone. It's not the actual bodhicitta. Tonglen practice is a stepping stone. It's not a bodhicitta. For the bodhicitta practice, the two methods must be complete. The sevenfold cause effect or the equalizing and exchanging method to cultivate bodhicitta. These two, for us the ordinary beings, these two must be cultivated hand in hand. Not that, oh, I'm fond of the first one, oh, I'm fond of the second one. No, we have to do both. Do both. And with a busy lifestyle, you can do one method one day, the next method tomorrow, and on the third day, the first one, you just alternate between the two methods. And when you're more free, you can do both methods. Only through this, you can expect that the bodhicitta can take birth in us. So this is what I'm saying. So with this, what I'm saying is those who are not bodhisattvas, those who are not Buddhas like us, so we can cultivate bodhicitta. Any moment, this bodhicitta which we cultivate, that becomes a spontaneous experience. That moment, that mind becomes a bodhicitta and you become a bodhisattva. It's not that bodhisattvas and non-bodhisattvas, they are what? The discretely separated. There's a clean divide between the two, and these two are inherently, one is inherently the bodhisattva, one is inherently non-bodhisattvas. That's not true. Even being a bodhisattva, even being a non-bodhisattva is also dependent originated. By dependence on the cultivation of bodhicitta, you become a bodhisattva. By dependence on dissipating the bodhicitta, you become a non-ordinary person. Right? So therefore, we can cultivate bodhicitta, we can become a bodhisattva, in other words. Okay, this is very important. It is for this reason that what I'm emphasizing so much here, that when we're learning like these 8 virtues of provision so far, and some people who may be a little critical, saying that what is this 8 virtues of provision, what's the practice, what is the Dharma practice, there's nothing to do with the Dharma and pot, the vase, and purpose object, what is this, right? Okay, some people will be very critical, but the idea is that we learn these concepts to make our mind very sharp, clear, active, agile, and apply this mind to the bodhicitta, to the wisdom of emptiness, right? Otherwise, our mind becomes, particularly with the wisdom of emptiness and observing the mind, awareness practice, our mind can be so murky, and then whole life you will waste by just about sitting this very murky meditation on the awareness is very dangerous. Very dangerous. Right? So with this study, what happens is the mind becomes very clear, our mind becomes very active, agile, and there's equity there, and the agility there, and the mind becomes very alert, fresh, and very precise, and meticulous in the thinking process. So that way, the concept of the wisdom of emptiness, particularly mind, and the wisdom, the emptiness, they are very subtle objects, because they are so subtle. Our mind, the mind, which is to see this subtle object as well, should be very agile, should be very dexterous in nature. So therefore, these are the ways and means by which to make a mind more active, agile, and dexterous. Okay. So in this connection, what I'm saying is that in my capacity, why I'm saying this is to really inspire all of us, not only you, me, but myself as well, that when I first was enrolled in IBD, Institute of Buddhist the Studies, although the bodhicitta, actual bodhicitta teaching was to be happening after 3 years, but in my own capacity, I tried to learn bodhicitta is from here, there, before the formal study started, formal course started. So I just learned already from some sources with my own efforts. I learned that, and then in my own capacity, I started to put into practice. This is, what I attempted. So what I'm saying is that don't wait until the Abhisamankaram course starts. So this is what I'm saying. We can just, there are so many now, it's so easy. So then in 1988, 89, we did not have any facilities. We don't have any facilities. It's only through just make sure who is teaching about bodhicitta and where is the book on bodhicitta. You try to just grab this. This is how I manage. So now all these teachings are available. So easy. The books are available, the materials, the recordings are available. So easy. Okay, so what I'm saying is just see how much you can learn about the two methods to cultivate bodhicitta as soon as possible. Take your own, say the initiative. Take your own initiative and see how much we can practice bodhicitta. Okay, so it requires time. Study is one thing, and the time for practice, this is another. Time for practice is like years and years. Don't expect bodhicitta. You practice bodhicitta for 2 years, 3 years, 5 years, and it will happen. It requires time. And for wisdom of emptiness, study requires time. The practice may not require as much time. Study requires time for the wisdom of emptiness. For the bodhicitta, study does not require time. The practice requires time. This is the difference between the two of them. Okay. So with this, we now go to another topic. So, okay, actually, unfortunately, it is not in this book. Unfortunately, it is not in this book. What I'd like to share with you is the topic which is so important, known as, in Tibetan, which is known as Dhue-dra. Dhue-dra. This is actually the part of the study of logic. Dhue-dra in English is relationship, relation. Okay, relation, this is so important. In fact, the study of the most of the academic and very richly academic studies of the Narada Master studies and the compositions, the masterpieces led by the Narada Masters, there, without understanding the concept of the relation, Dhue-dra, then many of these books are led by the Narada Masters are not going to be really, we cannot really make the most, we cannot really take advantage of these incredibly great legacies led by the Narada Masters. So for that matter, this concept, the relation, is required, and the Vishlam, what I would suggest is that we have to include this section in the print of the book. Okay. The relation, when we speak about, say, particularly the concepts, when we speak about the concepts, invariably the concept of the relationship comes into being. The concept of the relation becomes into being. So the relation, Dhue-dra, relation has its own definition, and within the relation there are two divisions. So the two divisions, one is the causal relation, and the other one is the same entity relation. The same entity relation and the causal relation. Okay, same entity relation, causal relation. So first, the relation. What's the definition of relation? When we speak about relation, there should be two things. We have to think about relationship in two things. So let's give an example saying we planted in the apple seed, and the apple tree grows out of that. So apple tree is the result, and the apple seed was the seed, the cause. Apple seed was the cause, and the apple tree is the result. So there's a relationship between the result and the cause. This is obvious, the relationship between the result and the cause. So for the time being, I'm going to focus just on what does it mean by relation? What is between? Then once you know this, then you can apply to the various things, some of which are causal relation, and others which are the same additive relation, right? Okay. If you could remember from what we've learned, from the study of the logic, when we learned about the syllogism, what are the components? How many components are required for a sound syllogism? For what are they? So the topic, the predicate, sign, and the illustration. The 4 components are required for a sound syllogism. You getting it? So the topic, the predicate, the sign, and the illustration. The 4 things are required. So if I'm to, for example, say you are meditating on emptiness. You are meditating on emptiness on a daily basis. You meditate on emptiness. Depending on how well you are exposed to the legacies of the Nalanda masters. Depending on that, if you're well exposed to that, then you can instantly mentally create the syllogism. Okay, myself, Dorji, as the object, as the topic, he is empty of independent existence, predicate, because he is dependent on the 6 elements. Right? Okay, let's say Dorji is the topic, he is empty of independent existence or empty of objective existence because he is dependent on the 6 elements. For example, a cart, a chariot. A chariot will come into being but depends on the various parts. When you split the parts separately, then the chariot disappears. So what is labeled, the referent of the labeled chariot disappears. So chariot comes into being by dependence on the various parts. Likewise, Dorji also comes into being by dependence on the 6 elements. What are the 6 elements? Element earth, water, fire, air, space, consciousness. 6 elements. Okay. So now the syllogism is such that Dorji as the topic, he is empty of objective existence as the predicate. Now the sign, because when you say because, you have to produce a sign, because he is dependent on, he is constituted of 6 elements, or he is dependent on the 6 elements, or he is constituted of the 6 elements. He is composed of the 6 elements. For example, a chariot. Okay. So with this, now tell me, this syllogism, how can we say that this syllogism is a sound syllogism? Or how can we say that this is a sound reason? Because it fulfills 3 modes. What are the 3 modes? The first mode is that the object qualifies the... What is the first mode? That the object qualifies... Subject, the object, the topic. The topic qualifies the sign 1, chokchu. Number 2 is forward pervasion. Jacob. What is Jacob? What is forward pervasion? Whatever qualifies the sign should qualify the predicate. Okay, in this case, tell me what is the sign? In the case of this syllogism that I've given you now, Dorji is empty of objective existence because he is constituted of the 6 elements. For example, a chariot. Okay, tell me what is the pervasion, account of the forward pervasion in this syllogism? whatever is constituted of 6 elements should be empty of objective existence. So this is the counter-provision. So how can we know that anything which is constituted of the 6 elements should be empty of objective existence? So we should see the relationship. We should see the relationship between the sign and the object, right? If I say that, okay, if I say that, okay, I need a ball pen. I need a ball pen to write my notes. Then you say that, oh, I'm sorry, and there's no pen at all. Pen, which is ball pen, ink pen, no, fountain pen, right? There's no pen in the first place. There's no pen at all. Forget about ball pen. Or let's say I want the cross-company pen, a pen, or Mont Blanc pen. I want a Mont Blanc pen. I don't write with other pens. I want to write with only one Mont Blanc. Forget about Mont Blanc. There's no pen at all, right? So you are trying to relate. You are saying that Mont Blanc is not possible because pen is not there in the first place. So pen on the one hand, Mont Blanc pen on the other hand, these two are related. These two be related. If they're still related, these two become truly unrelated. For example, I want a pen, and you say that there's no pen because there's no flower. There's no pen because there's no flower. What's the relationship, right? Okay, so tell me, is this good reason? Okay, don't expect any pen because there is no flower at all. Is there any relationship? Is that a good reason? Why not? If there's no flower, it's not necessary that there should be no pen. So pen and the flower, these are not related, right? So to make sense of this reason, the two things should have a relation. You're getting it? Okay, now let's say that now I could see that I am impermanent. I'm impermanent because I'm a produced phenomena. I'm a product. Because I'm a product. Now I could see the impermanence. Earlier when I was younger, I thought that I was permanent. I thought I was permanent. Then when I see someone who's old, who's walking on a stick like this, oh, this old man. Now I'm going towards this direction. Now I could see that. Now I see that I'm also impermanent, right? Okay, in fact, just a few days ago, I met someone of nearly my age. And the person described, she was describing herself as, oh, we are old, right? Okay, so back when we were in our teens, right? We just experientially, we never thought that we were going to be old. Now experientially it is coming, right? Okay, what I'm saying is that now Dorji is impermanent because he is a produced phenomenon. He's a product, let's say, product. Dorji is impermanent because there's a flower. Dorji is impermanent because Trump is the president of America. There's no relation. Whether he's president or not, it doesn't matter about Dorji being impermanent and permanent, right? Dorji is impermanent because he is dependent on causes. That makes sense. That makes sense. He's produced. Produced means produced by causes. Okay. So let's say produced and impermanence. These two are synonymous. Don't forget it. Produced and impermanent. These two are synonymous. Okay. Now, when we say that Dorji is impermanent because he is produced, what is the predicate? What is predicate? Impermanent. What is the sign? Produced. Okay. So now, for the pervasion, for the forward pervasion and the counter pervasion of the three modes, of the three what? Three modes. What is the second one? Forward pervasion, Jacob. Counter pervasion, which is Dokyab. Jacob, Dokyab, for the forward pervasion and the counter pervasion. What is important is to see the relationship between the sign and the predicate, not the predicate and the sign, right? Okay, when it is just 5-day discourse, you can say predicate and sign. Here it should be very precise. It's not a predicate and sign. It should be the sign's relationship with the predicate. Don't forget it. And at the moment you may think that, oh, now it's becoming intricate. Right? It's very intricate. Sign is related with the predicate and not talking about the predicate relationship with the sign. No, this is not the issue. The issue is the sign's relationship with the predicate. Okay, this we will learn later when we learn more about what is the definition of relation. Okay, so for this we have to see that the sign is related to the predicate. What is the sign? What is the sign? Produced. And what is the predicate? Impermanence. How the produced is related to impermanence. This is what we should learn now. So in other words, the relationship between the produced and impermanence. Okay, so how do you define relationship between two things? So for the definition of relation, there are two criteria. The first one is that the produced should be a separate phenomena with respect to the impermanence. First criteria, note it down. Okay, later on we have to say that whether these two things are related. We should be able to say that the produced is a separate phenomena from impermanence. One. Number two, by the power of elimination of the impermanence, the produced should be eliminated. By the power of elimination of the impermanence, the produced should be eliminated. Right? Okay. Let's say, earlier I said that there's no pen because there's no flower. Or there's pen because there's a flower. If you say that there's a pen because there's a flower, then the pen and the flower, these two should be related. The flower should be related with the pen. So if the flower and the pen should be related, okay, flower, is it related to the pen according to the definition which we have learned now? How not? We have to see to the two criteria, right? Flower, what's the first one? What's the first criteria? No, just say that the flower is a separate phenomenon from the pen. Do you agree with me or not? Flower, is it separate from the pen? Good. Okay. The flower is separate from the pen. Number one is fulfilled. Number two, what is number two? By elimination of the pen, not the flower, by elimination of the pen, the flower should be eliminated. By the power, this word, by the power of elimination of the pen, the flower should be eliminated. Same, so on this table there is a flower as well as the two pens here, right? Now by the power of elimination of the pen, the flower should be eliminated. Okay, I remove the pen from the table. Now the flower, is it removed or not? No. So by the power of elimination of the pen, the flower is not removed, but the flower is not eliminated. So the second one is not fulfilled. Whereas if the flower is to be related to the pen, then both the criteria should be fulfilled. Okay, now tell me. There's a pen there because there's a flower. Is it a good reason or not? There's a pen on the table because there's a flower. Is it a good reason or not? No. Why? Because it does not fulfill the Jacob and Dokyab. Why not Jacob? Because the sign is not related to the predicate. How the flower is not, how the sign is not related to the predicate, the flower is not related to the pen. How the flower is not related to the pen? Because it does not fulfill the two criteria of the definition of a relation. Okay, tell me, which of the two criteria is not fulfilled? The second. The first one? Fulfilled. How? The flower is separate phenomena from the pen. That's fulfilled. But the second one is not fulfilled. How? By the power of eliminating the pen, the flower should be eliminated, but it is not. If you remove the pen from the table, the flower still remains there. You getting it? Okay. So therefore, the flower is not related to the pen. Because the flower is not related to the pen, in this context, the sign is not related to the predicate. Because the sign is not related to the predicate, the forward provision is not fulfilled. Right? If the forward provision is fulfilled, then the three modes are not fulfilled. If the three modes are not fulfilled, then it is not a valid reason, valid syllogism. You getting it? Okay, this is how we should see. Now with this, now can you give an example? Let's say, okay, just tell me if it is a good thing, if it's a good reason. There is no pen on the table. Let's say there's no pen on this lid because there's no object on the lid. There's no pen on the lid because there's no object on the lid. Is this a good reason? Huh? Huh? Or let's say, okay, what is there on the lid? Okay, I say that, you say that, is there any object on the lid? I would say yes. How? Because there's a pen on the lid. There is an object on the table because there's a pen on the table. Is this a good reason or not? Huh? No? Good reason? It's a good reason. There is an object on the table because there's a pen on the table. Is this a good reason or bad reason? Good reason? Bad reason? Huh? Hey. Okay. There's a pen, there's an object on the table because there is a pen on the table. Okay, what we're looking for a relationship between what? The relationship is between the sign and the predicate the sign. Sign with the predicate. What is the sign? There is an object on the table because there is a pen on the table. What is the sign? Pen on the table. Let's say the pen. And what is the predicate? Object. The pen and the object. Now we have to see to the relationship between the pen and the object. Pen and the object, are these related or not? Pen, is it related to the object? You can, my face can easily change your answer. My face can easily change your answer, right? Whether show you a very undesirable face, right? Then your answer immediately changes. Okay, the pen, is it related to the object?
Yes.
Okay, don't just say yes, no. Let's work on the two criteria. What's the first criteria? Does fulfill the first criteria? That the pen is different from the object. Yes, no. Pen and the object, are these two one or these two different? These two are different. Pen and object, these two are different. Number two. What is number two? By the power of eliminating the object, the pen is eliminated. Is it true or not? In my hand, there are so many objects there. The tablet is there, the pen is there, everything is there. Then I remove the objects. Okay, I remove the objects. My objects are removed from my hand now? Yes, no? Huh? Still an object is there, right? Okay, now object is removed? Removed. By the power to remove the object, the pen is also removed? Huh? Okay, here, let's say. Okay, the flower and the pen. The flower and the pen, these two things, the two objects are there in my hand. Now I remove the flower. I remove the object. I remove the object. I didn't say I remove the flower. I remove the object. Yes? Now no object is there anymore. There is. The object is not removed. Just the flower. One of the objects is removed. Object is not removed. Hey. Okay, let me begin again. Begin. Okay, same. There are two objects in my hand. What are they? The pen and the flower. Two objects are there. Now I'm remove the object. Okay, object is removed?
No.
Huh?
One
Only one object is removed. So object is not removed. Why object is not removed? Because there still is, there's object still there. So if I remove the object, even this has to be removed. Right? Now by removing the object, the pen is also removed. Yes, no? Yes. So therefore, the pen is related to the object. The pen is separate phenomenon from the object, criteria 1. Then by the power of eliminating the object, the pen is also eliminated. Right? Which means that by eliminating the object, pen cannot stay there. This is meaning. By eliminating the object, pen cannot stay there. Pen should also be eliminated. If the pen is not there, well and good. But for sure, by eliminating the object, pen cannot remain there. If that is fulfilled, then the second criteria is fulfilled. Okay, how difficult it is? How difficult is it? Easy, difficult? Easy, right? Easy. Okay. But, so let's say this is how we have to learn. And if this is difficult, then some people they say that, oh, what is all this thing? Just nothing. We have to practice. Practice what? Practice dharma. Don't go for these studies. Practice. Practice what? Emptiness. If this is difficult, then how difficult is emptiness? How more difficult it is of the meditation. How can you get emptiness if this is difficult? Right? Even this we have to study. Without studying we cannot understand this. Without studying emptiness, how can you get emptiness? This is just people living in the bubble, living in the illusion. Right? If this is difficult. If people say that, hey, you have to study dharma. You have to practice dharma. Don't study dharma. Practice dharma. Just do you know relation. Do you know definite relation. Right? And then first let the person listen to the relation. And if the eyelashes double, if the eyelashes started to roll or it becomes double, then say that emptiness will make it 4 times double. So therefore, dharma practice is impossible without the studies. Don't think that we are Jesu Milarepa. In this world, there is only one Jesu Milarepa. There are 7 billion human beings, but only one Jesu Milarepa. Someone who already had gone through all these processes, past lives. Now this I think is very ready. Right? We don't think that we are like him. So what will we do? If this is difficult for us, emptiness, 100 times more difficult than this. Tea? Okay. So our education coordinator assistant is telling me tea time. Okay, tea time, thank you. We'll come back at 12:30.